All right. Admit.
Yeah.
Admit.
Yeah. Lowest I ever heard was my mother was down to 12.
And I was just surprised that, hey, Microsoft, can't you check when there's Microsoft spam coming in?
No more than Google checks when there are things coming from Gmail address.
Yeah, well, my Gmail is still, knock on Formica, still relatively clean. I get very few spam messages on my Gmail accounts. I'm fortunate in that respect. Of course, I don't source a lot of mail from it. I might share things via the Gmail address, but that's about it.
I don't have a lot of trouble with Yahoo, except that they keep filtering out stuff that's supposed to come through.
Yeah.
It never even gets to spam.
Yeah, I mean, I still get some spam messages, the typical ones that you might expect, saying that you have a subscription to this adult site, and or you have this and this and this, and like, yeah, right, delete, boom.
There's one spam house server that seems to favor Yahoo. It's called Watantiri. It looks like Wattan, and then the last part of it looks like the word tire. I think it's Watantiri. I think it's Japanese.
It could be. Maybe they just like you because they haven't found me yet. I'm going to hide.
That's where most of mine comes from.
Yeah.
And then there are all these domains that have something 0 something.
Oh yeah, and just or just totally spoofed domain names, random collections of digits and stuff. And like, come on now, you couldn't filter this up? That should be the next thing, because I noticed that a lot of my junk phone calls have started to go by the wayside, which is a good thing. I can get those to go away. If they finally do the shake and stir implementation on UMA as well as everybody else, then I shouldn't have any problem. I still get a couple to come through. There should be a star code to report a attempted phish or fraud and have the FTC go after them immediately.
Well, if the phone company, I have AT&T, if the phone company can put up their spam risk when the call is coming in, they should be able to filter that out, and I shouldn't even get it.
That's true. That's true. But if it's a spoofed call, if it's a true spoofed call, especially with the warranty guys, is supposedly they went and they're crucifying them in court. Why am I still getting a warranty call occasionally? Slipping through. Okay. Did they not get the message that, you're getting taken down by the FTC?
Well, Comcast voice, at least in my area, has verified caller ID, where there will be a little V in brackets if they're pretty sure that it's okay.
Mm-hmm. Same here. Although I had one through Comcast today, it even said in front of it with a little question mark, likely spam, but it still put the call was still ringing. I had to pick it up, but it actually said likely spam.
Well, I also have, because it's free through Comcast Voice, I have Nomo Robo.
I do.
Yeah.
I have.
I know that helps somewhat, but I still get them with Nomo Robo on the UMA line. I still get some of them slipping through. But I had heard, or I saw some other email recently, or it was a news posting, that if the VoIP providers do not have give access to the FTC when they're doing their checking for spam sources, then they can get shut down. So the FTC is going after the VoIP providers as well. And if they don't cooperate, then they're going to get slammed.
I have had calls where it'll ring, Nomo Robo hangs up on it or sends it to voicemail, and then I get a call back that says it's from Nomo Robo.
That's what you get all the time when they do the challenge, because Nomo Robo grabs it after a ring or two. Then the caller gets a challenge. And if they do the challenge correctly, then they forward the call back to you. But the caller ID then shows Nomo Robo.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, that only happens a few times. Does Sanford have his hand up?
Yes, he does. He just moved to the top of the list, and then he moved down again. Yeah.
Yes, I did. Oh, I noticed that, how that Zoom kind of done that, moved me over one way. I was like, well, what's that? Must be a new feature that they're doing.
That's been around for about 3 or 4 point releases.
All right.
Oh,
So
it's
what
been
I
longer
want
than
to know
that.
is
It's been
how do I
longer.
stop that? Can
APCUG has been
somebody,
using it.
Hold
for
on.
months.
Sanford's talking. Yeah,
all
go
right,
ahead.
how do I get rid of or block the calls that my wife is receiving when somebody else used her phone number to buy a car or something? So now she's getting all these requests for warranty extensions and all this other stuff they have to do with a car, but it's for a different person's name, not her. And she's had this same phone number for over 10 years.
And it's just random spam. It's always the wrong person. It's never getting it right.
It's always, well, it is, I'll say random, meaning it's coming from random companies, but it's for earmarked for a specific person. So she'll get spam text messages or voicemails that all say, Craig, her name's not Craig, Craig, we have this blah, blah, blah for you. You know, whatever it is, it all has to do with another person. And she doesn't know how to stop this.
Related, I get calls sometimes from medical clinics where somebody has used just a random number and it happened to be mine. And so I get their appointment reminders. And they're usually women. They're usually women. Women for
They're usually,
types
there
of
you
things.
go. I like that. I'm getting one from an Infinity dealer on the East Coast, and they're really pushy, and they just keep going. You have this service appointment. You need to look at this.
Does your wife have her phone number posted on any social media anywhere?
In all probability, yes.
That's when you start to remove it out of all those places.
Yeah.
She has a business, right?
She's a real estate agent, so she does have it out there.
Okay.
Now,
It's
I
out
mean,
there.
this person is bona fide. She's actually been able to look this person up online, found that there is a legitimate person by this name. She's got the full name of this person, the address, everything she's gotten from the spammers or the people trying to collect money are trying to go to him, but they're calling her. It is a legitimate person and a legitimate address. It's just some reason that person used her number.
Yeah. And that's because they were being fraudulent and didn't want their information out there. And once it gets stuck in some database, especially in a debt database, it's never going to disappear.
Right. And she has tried, she's even called the parent companies of whoever's calling her and tried to talk to people to get her off the list. It goes nowhere. Absolutely, she's spinning her wheels, but it drives her nuts because it's almost daily she's getting this crap.
What you need to do is you need to have a lawyer friend and ask them what letter you need to write to them officially with a registered letter that as a cease and desist. If you call me one more time, I will have you prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
Okay.
Which, by the way, means they can be fined $10,000 per call.
Yeah.
Okay, but that would be the people calling her, but not the person using her phone number.
Oh, yes,
that's fine. They're the same thing because they have wrong information. He has provided the wrong information. They should go find him and have him arrested as well.
Okay.
Because he's committing fraud.
This is something that could easily be done. I got a neighbor that's a lawyer, so I could do that.
Talk to him and find out the right words to use.
Oh,
so you don't get yourself into legal trouble. And then, like I said, you send the right cease and desist letter, and then you can say, okay, you called me one more time. You owe me $10,000. You're going to write off his thing and go after him personally? Go get a PI and find him.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the fines are sort of graduated. They start at 1,000 and then they work up to 10,000. But it doesn't matter. They're going to be in for more money than they want to be. But I have to be careful, and anybody who's on Medicare, because if you do start getting calls from medical practices about appointments, you've got to check and make sure nobody's committing fraud on your account number.
Yeah.
And
have you tried blocking some of these numbers when they call?
Oh, well, what I do is I don't know about Sanford, but yes, I can block, but that isn't going to remove the possibility somebody may have filled out medical forms using my information, Or
I mean,
some random information that happened.
I have a person in, it used to be Voorhees, New Jersey, and then they moved to Melvin, Pennsylvania. I believe her husband is another Edward Keating. So she always uses Edward.Keating at Yahoo for whatever she needs, for an appointment for her Lexus or whatever car they have. If I'm getting stuff from them, they sign me up to their Republican representative in Pennsylvania. So he's sending me stuff, and I keep on telling people, stop signing her up. This is her Gmail address, which I have located at one point in time, and I just forwarded it to them and said, here, use this address instead. Don't bother me. There's no way I'm going to come to your dealership in Eastern Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Well, my name is sufficiently rare that there's only one other person, and that person, ironically enough, was in the Chicago area, who had the same first and last name. Not the same middle initial, but that doesn't stop the credit people.
No, it doesn't stop them at all, yeah.
They're you. But in any event, I do call the medical practices and make sure they understand this isn't me, and if my Medicare number was in some way involved, please let me know.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Let's do that.
So otherwise blocking is fine. Also, I get calls and mail from people who used to live in this apartment 10 years ago, and people who used to have my phone number before it became mine with my cell phone and with my Comcast.
Wow. Now you got somebody. I still have calls that come into some of my phone numbers, and I've had a couple of these landline numbers for going on 35 years. And yes, they still call looking for somebody that doesn't exist. Like, you got the wrong number. You definitely have the wrong number. Yeah,
some of my spam calls were in Chinese.
On the landline, though, more than not the things that I get that call me are somebody who is calling from one of the police benevolent associations looking for me to send them money or something. And I have never done that to these people. I don't know them. And it's usually a downstate telephone number.
Yeah, well, those are paid telemarketers. They call everybody. I get them too. So, you can tell they're not really Wolfham police because they don't have our accent.
Yeah. So Kathy, I see you that you've joined. You have to unmute if you're going to talk back. Click. There you go.
Okay, how is that?
That's better. So you had said you had a problem with a contact in Google?
Yes, so I have a Gmail account, and I have this friend that when I communicate back and forth with her, her name is Pam Siegfried. And whenever I communicate back and forth with her, I have her contact information stored in my Google contacts as Pam Siegfried. And let me take a look at my notes here. And it's alphabetically under her last name, so it's under the S's. And when I go to try to send an email to her, normally I would just I would either start typing Pam or I would start typing Siegfried, and her name should pop up, but it doesn't. And whenever we communicate back and forth, whether I send an email to her or I receive an email from her, her name is Home, not Pam, not Siegfried.
Sounds like it's a corrupted contact somehow. Can you just rename part of her contact information and then create a new one for her?
I can try that right now.
Well, I'm just saying that's probably because if you just type a new one, it could possibly reuse the old information because it thinks it needs updated. But if you rename it so that it should show up differently and then re-enter a new one with her name, it should work the way the rest of your contracts work.
And it's weird because she's the only person it happens with.
Was it imported from an old phone?
I believe I just manually typed it in. I don't know. I either manually typed it in, or when I first met her, maybe she sent me an email and then I said, save her contact, one of the two. I don't remember doing an import. And the weird thing is, with my SBC Global email account, that doesn't happen. It works fine. But it's weird because she said it's not just with me, it's happening with all the people she communicates with.
Well, it might be when you did her save of her contact information, that is incorrect of whatever it tried to guess at, rather than you manually putting in a new one for her.
Mm-hmm.
So because I could see where saving it, if it only had the email address and you save it, okay, that's all it's got. It doesn't have her name, doesn't have her last name. It only has her email address, and it may or may not have the name depending on what email client it tried to parse this from.
Mm-hmm. But when I do look at it in Google Contacts, it does have her first and last name in there.
Have you compared it with your other Google contacts to see what makes it different than the other ones? Like one that works and one that doesn't? And then look at them both and like, oh, this one has these fields filled up.
I haven't done that, but I am going to do that right now and see.
That's one of my techniques that I learned a very, very long time ago. It's called one of these things is not like the others.
Okay, so
and then the next one you want to use is cut and paste.
Okay. All right. So I'm going into. Well, that's interesting. Now I typed home and I found myself under home too.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't want to type home anymore. You want to eliminate all the ones that are home, and you just want to be able to start typing the names and come out that way.
And it also says that there's duplicates, which is true. There's two of them that say home and it's for me. Oh, this one that says home and it's for me, that's my SBC Global email address. And then this second one is also my SBC Global.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. I said it was stored under Siegfried. Let me go down to her last name and see.
I mean, I don't know her email address if it has Siegfried as part of it, but I mean, if you type an S, does it populate with the list when the pop-up list and have the ones that you're looking for?
No, the only way it populates is if I type home.
And you can't type P, or I don't know what does her email start with?
Okay, I'm looking it up right now.
It says home, right?
It said, oh, well, what I do is I have her first name is Sigrid and her last name is Pam because I like them in alphabetical order by last name versus first name. So first name is Siegfried, last name is Pam.
And what does the email start with?
Her first initial, so it's P Siegfried.
So just if you type PS, does it pop up on the thing?
No, let me try it again.
When you're composing an email and you just start P and S, and it should pop up a list of everyone with the P.
Okay, when I type the P, wait a minute. Now it just did it right before I entered the Zoom meeting. I tried it. I tried putting P in, and it didn't come up. Now I just tried it and now it comes up.
Google is listening. Interesting, no?
I don't get it. Like I said, I tried it right before I got into the Zoom meeting and it didn't work when I tried entering a P.
It might stop working after the Zoom meeting too. You never can tell.
Of course, because I have you guys on the line, it's going to work properly. You know, That's how it always works.
I mean, usually when I start typing, I usually get my history of the people I've emailed before, and I can easily select the person I want. Like, okay, there's my brother Bob. Boom, populated.
Right. I mean, normally it does that with everybody else that I communicate with, but it was just her that it was doing this with. I mean,
worst comes to worst, you can always, like I said, create a new entry and see if that one works better. And then you can delete the old one after the new one is in there and working, and everything should work fine.
Okay. And
So-
it was just weird. And like I said, I know she mentioned it at her end too, that she's having the same problem with everybody she communicates with. I don't know, but
And it could be an old contact list format import that's not working so well.
okay. I mean, it's not a big deal, but I will try what you said. So thank you.
Sanford, do you want to go ahead and show off your the YouTube site? I think you can share. I'm not sure, but we can try this. It says that you should be able to share.
Okay, let's see. Am I on the right one? This one, should we do it? Okay. I'm hoping everybody in the that is attending tonight is aware of the fact that we have the Chicago Computer Society has a branded YouTube channel. This is something I set up a little while ago and feverishly been working to upload videos, the videos of our past meetings, and that would include even tonight's meeting. Tonight's meeting will be recorded, and then we'll be publishing it on there so you can always revisit and rewatch any of the videos. What you could do is there's two ways you can get here. You can just go to YouTube and type in the Chicago Computer Society, as I have up here at the top in the search bar, and you click on it and it will take you to this page. Here we have the logo up at the top, and we have a listing of some of the videos. Now, if you do it, for whatever reason, YouTube's got its own quirks on doing things. But if you Google it and search to it, unless you subscribe, you don't get to see all the videos that are actually on our branded page. I think, let me go here. I think if I do that, if you click on the logo, now I'm learning this as I go. If you click on the logo, it will then take you directly to the landing page for the society, and that will have all 30 of our videos. 30. We have 30 videos up there, and it's growing constantly. This takes a lot of work on Tim and my part, but and everybody's putting on the meetings, all our parts to make this happen. But we're posting this up here. The other way you can get to the landing page is you can also just click on the link that was supplied in an email that was sent out to everybody about notification about this site. And if you do, it will basically take you to this same page. I think that's going to be this one. This is where the link will take you to. So as you could see, you see a lot more videos here on this page. And if you click on the video tab, you got the home tab that only shows a few. Click on the video tab, it shows you more. And what we have is we have the videos are all titled by the club that they're for, as well as preceded by the date in which the event happened. If you're only interested in a particular club, that is the Northwest Club or the South Side Club or the Linux SIG, I would then suggest that you go and click on playlists. Playlist is a new feature that I learned about this week, and I made it happen. So now all of our videos are tagged to playlists by the club. Therefore, if you go to Linux, you'll see all the Linux SIGs. If you go to tips and tricks, let's go over here to the Northwest, and you could see we have a video. Oh, it's going to start playing right away. But you'll have on this right pane, I get rid of this. You have in this right side, you can see all the Northwest Club's meetings right there. There's quite a few of them, and it's growing. We still have more to come that we're finding as we're digging into these and more. And remember, these are all recorded every month, so there's a lot here to be learned. What I do ask of everybody that's attending is please pick one video and kind of watch through parts of it, if not the majority of the clubs, and try to put in the comments section what the topics are that we're talking about. That is comments on the YouTube page. And if you post it in there, I'll be able to see what the topics are of that particular meeting and be able to post it. The reason this happens is because many of the meetings were not documented by me or by Tim or ones that I've attended. We've got many of them that Jerry recorded. And when the leaders, like myself, are putting these on, our minds are focused on running the meeting and not on the content necessarily. And we're not taking notes. So if you could please pick at least one video that has nothing stated about what it is about, and watch through parts of it and just put in the comments section, this at 10 minutes into the thing or 25 minutes, we discussed Acronis. And that might be all you need to do. Or maybe say that the presentation was about Acronis. Boom, I'll pick it up and then I'll be able to put some metadata as part of it, so then it becomes searchable to everybody and everyone will know what the content of that particular meeting was all about. The tips and tricks one has various topics, so if you feel like watching through one of those and putting in what some of the topics were, if you feel like putting a timeline in there, be great, but it's not necessary. Again, just put it into the comments section. And the other thing is, I ask that everybody here subscribe to the channel. By subscribing, you will be notified when a new video is posted, and we're posting them all the time. Right now, we have 35 subscribers. I believe that's a bit more than a third of our membership is subscribing. With that, I'll say thank you, and I hope you enjoy the YouTube channel, and I'll turn it back over to our presenter.
Okay. Let's
stop sharing.
I'll go. Computer Society. All right. All right. And I'm subscribing right now.
Wait, Huey's got a question.
Go ahead.
Actually, a couple of comments. One, the more people who subscribe, the more Google and YouTube will point people toward you. The same thing with liking the videos. So it's very important that when you go to one of the videos, just make sure you check mark liked and then also subscribe. The more people you can get to subscribe, the better. And then the more people who like a particular video, also the better.
Very good. Thank you for telling us that. That is very important. I will also take note to the fact that we don't script or edit these videos in terms of like making them look beautiful. They're just raw. It's just raw content, just like we're doing tonight. This is live capturing. We don't generally have any profanity that happens in these, which is good. We don't have anything. I've never recalled anything ever offensive in theirs, but if someone sees something that they feel might be offensive, please let us know right away, and we'll edit that part out of the video. But Sid's got a comment. Sid?
Yeah. One other thing, and you might have mentioned it, I missed it, I had to give the dog a pill, is the little bell thing, because subscribing does not get you notifications. The bell button gets you the notifications. And you can click, when you click on the bell, you can say all videos or only, I think, relevant. It says something like relevant. But you got to click on the bell if you actually want to get notifications.
Okay.
So we're going to be the Chicago Computer Pyramid Society, right? like.
Yeah, but we don't make any money off of this, okay? So far, there's 0 pennies coming in our direction.
Today the likes, tomorrow the pennies.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's not even discussed when you're setting this up about any type of monetary reimbursement if they run ads or anything. So that's an angle that I don't know anything about yet.
Well, usually after 20 minutes, if you're not on a YouTube premium, YouTube likes to insert ads. I'm just wondering, do they have to share their revenue with us when they do that?
I don't know.
That's where the subscribing comes into. You aren't even eligible to monetize, I think, until I forgot what the number is. It's 5,000 or 10,000 subscribers.
Okay.
I got to start generating. There's going to be a whole lot of Ed clones that are going to become subscribers.
You got to do that an awful lot of times to get up to
Awful lot of times.
I will make sure that it's generated by one of those Azure servers.
And I just went into subscribe, and I found out I was one of those 35, so I was already there. So.
Okay, great. Thanks. Sid, you had a question?
Yeah, no, I think you got it. I think you got it. If you do me a favor and put the link to it in chat. As I said, I was off giving the dog a pill when you had the display up. So if you just put the link for me in chat, that would be great.
It's chatted.
I did it.
Cool.
Hopefully that's the link you need.
All right.
Hopefully. Otherwise, I'll go and find it somewhere else and post it.
Okay.
That's not a link though. That's just the name.
It
But
does.
I could probably search on it. But all it says for me is the Chicago Computer Society YouTube.
It's a case, Sanford, where some of the copying of URLs gives you the verbiage. They don't show the actual underlying URL. And so chat only posts text. It doesn't usually post hyperlinks.
Uh-huh.
All right, I posted the hyperlink though.
Yeah.
Or the URL, that is.
If you do the URL, it comes out okay. But when you use the name that comes across and paste it in, it's straight text. It's not a hyperlink.
Right. Well, we're good right there. So anybody who wants it, they can go ahead and join it. Moving along, we got any questions tonight? Who's got questions? Nobody's got a question. They all have answers.
I have questions, but they're not ones anybody here can answer. So
you can try. Why is there air? Yeah.
You probably don't want to go there. It's not computer related. Dog's got a hematoma on her ear, but that's a non-computer subject.
It's a vet thing. Yes. Time to call the vet.
Already been there, already looked at, and I already ordered her the no wrap ear wrap, which holds the ear down.
Okay. A couple of seconds ago, I had a border collie in here, but he's since left. So we're dog sitting as well. So
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
All right. Mine's a tough one because I have not been able to find the answer out yet. And I've been digging on this one. I have at home, I have running a Windows Home server version 2011, which is version 2. Rocking it just great with 28 terabytes of storage. Anyways, my problem is I have a newer laptop running Windows 10 that came factory installed Windows 10. When I go to run in the connector that connects it to the server, the connector goes in, no problem. But when I run the backup routine, which is part of what it does, it keeps airing out all the time. And I've checked the logs and I've done everything I can find on the web to try to make this work. And the problem lies in the permissions that are being allowed to the application to be able to make shadow copies on the hard drive, to be able to perform the backup procedure. As a side note, I have another laptop, an older or other PCs, shall I say, PC, laptop, doesn't matter, that were other operating systems. They were like Windows 7 that have been upgraded to Windows 10. On those machines had previously had installed the connector app to connect and do backups. No problems on those machines that rolled forward to Windows 10. So they're able to do the backup procedure, not an issue. But it's only this new machine that's version install of 2010 that I cannot get to work.
It's Windows 10 Pro, right?
No, 2010 Home.
Oh, could be a home thing.
Okay.
I know that home has some restrictions that Pro doesn't.
So the one of the things that I found is, and this gets a little complicated here, the VSS admin list writer is what is failing, and I don't want to go into too much more detail, other than asking if anyone really knows this stuff in the background. Can they kind of help me out? And we could come and talk later on as a side note if anyone's come across this before.
All of your other machines that work fine are Pro, correct?
No, none of them are Pro. They're all home.
They're all home.
I do not own any 2010 Pro.
Oh.
Well, Sanford, I can tell you one thing about volume shadow copies. It's been deprecated in Windows 10.
Okay. What does that mean?
It means you have to find another method of doing backups.
It means volume shadow copy does exist, but it's much less robust than it was under Windows 7. And gradually through various iterations of Windows 10, it's gotten to be, shall we say, with pun intended, a mere shadow of itself. It's being replaced by file history. And so problems can arise, not only with, by default, another thing that uses volume shadow copies is the restore point. And that's not enabled by default in Windows 10. You have to go through a lot of hoops to enable that.
Ah, that's why restore points are like no more.
Yes.
Yeah, and Macrim Reflect Free ran into permissions problems with volume shadow copy that in my system were resolved by allowing the application access to the restricted folders, the ransomware protection in Windows Defender. Because that also, by default, blocks volume shadow copy.
Okay.
And that is a permissions issue. It's a ransomware permissions issue found under protected folders under the Security Center.
All right.
I don't know if you've enabled ransomware. By default, it isn't.
Oh, you mean in Windows Defender?
Yeah.
I did, but then I turned it off.
Once you turn it off, you have to restart the system. Cold shutdown. Cold shutdown.
That I've done.
Not
this is on the machine that I. Sorry.
Yeah, that means fast startup cannot be enabled when you shut down. Otherwise, you won't get rid of the protection.
Fast. How do I change that?
That's power plan. Just temporarily go to power plan, advanced, things that are not shown, and under some power plan or another, you should be able to temporarily uncheck fast startup. Then shut down, and it should remove the ransomware protection if you have also switched that off.
Well, where do I find?
Okay, I'm
in power plan right now, and went to advanced, and it's not giving me anything about fast startup. It's
okay. Just a moment, and we'll find where it is, and I may have to share a screen.
Is it under ransomware protection after you manage it?
Or is it under power plan?
There are two things.
Okay.
First of all, let's go with the fast startup. Make sure that okay, in Windows 10, it is power and sleep in the settings, and its related settings, which is about the third item, and its additional power settings. Then you get into the old control panel.
Okay, power.
And I believe it's under choose what the power buttons do.
You said additional power settings.
Yeah. And that should throw you into the old control panel.
And then I got Create a power plan, change, custom.
It should say choose or customize power plant as the main heading. And on the left hand, it is control panel home. Choose what the power buttons do.
Right.
Create a power plan. You want to choose what the power buttons do.
Where do I do choose what the power buttons do?
It's on the left side of control panel, hardware and sound power options. It's on the select on the left-hand side.
Here, let me show you my screen real quick.
All right.
See if this does that.
I just want to see whether you're in the control panel. Yes, you are.
Yeah, it's right there.
Customize a power plant, left-hand column. Second item from the top.
Yeah.
One more.
Control panel home. Yeah, there you go. Choose
it.
what the power buttons do. Now, change settings that are currently unavailable, and there will be a UAC. That's the blue link under Define Power Buttons. Click that, and now you can uncheck Fast Startup.
Ah. Okay.
The reason for that is if you don't uncheck that, Windows will save the session state. And when it saves the session state, it may continue to protect the folders.
Okay.
Danged if you do.
This was a setting that I changed. That setting I changed like a long time ago. So, but all right. So you say it's probably never been refreshed.
And now make sure that the next time you shut it down and restart it, you do. You go into your security center, make sure that protected folders is not enabled, that the switch is off. Then do a full shutdown of the system.
Where am I going to? Okay, let's go through this part. What you're talking about?
Okay, Defender.
Folders.
Okay. What you want to do is just click on the shield in your tray, the Defender shield.
All right. Hold on, got to get to it. Defender shield, yes.
Virus and threat.
Virus and threat protection.
Virus and
And
threat.
then scroll down. Scroll down to about the middle bottom where it says ransomware protection.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to share this screen.
No action needed.
Yeah, but I would still check and see what its state is.
All right, so there we go. This is on the.
Oh, yours is different. Oh, you have current threats. Do you realize that there are threats that have been found on your system that probably need a few actions? They're just potentially unwanted programs. And I think, these programs, you need to take some action and allow them. You have some programs which I don't download admin. That's the thing you're trying to run for your backup.
Yep.
And that is being blocked currently.
Wait, I didn't follow you. Which one did you say?
PUADI manager.
Fourth one down.
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, hit the down. Yeah. Don't quarantine. It's quarantined. Allow. Just do allow. That's it. You're done. You're in.
Okay. That
You're
is
in.
my
It
one.
will work now. It will work now.
All right. Now.
Oh, you got to click Start Actions.
Okay.
Yeah. Do start actions. I don't know that crawler toolbar.
Oh, well, I was going to just remove it. You said it. I don't know what that is either.
Wait. Is that something you really think is something you don't want?
No, I don't know anything about it.
Then quarantine.
Leave it quarantined then.
Yeah.
Candy Open is something you want quarantined. Piriform Bundler, I would allow, because that's just something Piriform uses in order to install software. So just hit the second item, hit the down arrow.
Yeah.
I would allow that. That one I would allow.
Okay.
And Keygen. Keygen is one of these, I think it's either Near Sulfur or somebody else, that Microsoft Defender doesn't like, but it's a legitimate program. It looks a lot like malware, but it isn't. So down arrow and allow it.
So is that just like one of the Cisco password breakers?
It's a password cracker.
Yeah. Okay.
It finds a key. It finds.
It finds keys. Yeah.
It's a key finder. And now do start actions. The gray button. And
all of a sudden, Stanford disappears from our Zoom session.
Yeah, that could happen. But in this case, now your backup should work. I had to do the very same sort of thing, only with the ransomware protection, in order to get Macrim Reflect free to run a backup. And it's because Windows 10 does not like anything to access volume shadow copies except Windows. And it has to be the Windows that is installed on that device.
So when I get done and solve this problem, if these steps that you gave me worked, which got my fingers crossed, I need to go back into Power Plan and re-enable the fast startup?
If you want it. If you want it to run, fast startup will make your startups faster. It will allow you to shut down to just a very deep sleep state. And that's usually desirable on a laptop.
Okay, good. I think we covered this one. Now I got another question.
Go ahead. Just remember that to put down in your notes on this YouTube that you solved the problem at this location on the YouTube.
If it solves it, I'll love it. I'll absolutely love it. But I won't remember this like shit. Anyways.
Okay, I'm putting in a note in my notes with the time code.
You're putting your notes in your notes, and I'm still waiting for all those notes you're going to send me, Bob. So.
Yeah, I know. I had a lot of stuff going on. I'm almost to the point where I can work on that.
I get it. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah, I had like 4 presentations to do for other groups.
And the sidebar, Bob takes notes, extensive notes in all of the meetings that he attends. And he has been probably to every one of the ones that we've Zoomed, and he's offered to give me the notes on those meetings so I can go and put in the keywords to the hyperlink the videos to the rest of the world. So that's a good thing.
So I should scan this and send it to you as a TIFF file?
Feel free, go ahead. All right, so my next question is, on this particular laptop, I had changed the power settings so that when it's plugged in, it will always stay on. What I was having it do is turn off the screen after so long of a period of time. But it would still, the machine would stay on because this way I run stuff in the background. I don't want it to go to sleep. For whatever reason, it's not smart enough to know that if I'm encoding a video per se, and it times out because I don't see any physical action, it will go to sleep even though it's running and encoding in the background that it should be wide awake for. That's one thing. I can't get it to stop doing that unless I turn off the feature of turning off the monitor. If I leave the monitor on all the time, then it won't go to sleep and it'll stay on.
But you can't let the monitor go to sleep while keeping the rest of the machine running?
Yeah, because it seems to happen. Now, I don't know this for a fact, but it seems to happen is if I do that, if I let the monitor go to sleep, it logs me out. And I have to re-log in by putting in my PIN to get back into the system every time. The other thing that it does is the moment I unplug it from power, it goes to PIN mode where I have to go and put a PIN in. Almost like it goes to sleep right then and there. I don't know what's with this. It's because it's new and this is a new power plan that they implemented or what?
If you look at the power settings, having the PIN is a choice that you can have when it goes to sleep or whatever you have it do. You can turn that off. Another thing is that you can have one set of power settings when it's plugged in and when it's not plugged in. If it's a laptop, I'm presuming, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you can have 2 different settings. So if it's plugged in, a lot of times I tell it just leave everything on.
Yes.
But if it's not plugged in, I want to shut it down.
Okay, where am I going to find this about the PIN thing?
I think it's the choices under the power.
Power and sleep?
Yeah.
Under advance?
Probably. I'm letting you look.
Actually, there's a setting that has to do with your screensaver.
Yeah, it's on the screensaver, yeah.
It also relates to standby. when you come out of standby, and the lock screen is there, you can say you don't need the PIN, or you can say you do need the PIN.
Okay.
And that may be under either power or lock screen behavior.
And I have nothing under screensaver. I'm not using a screensaver.
Lock screen.
Um,
Lock screen behavior.
oh, lock screen behavior, not power saver.
No,
Well,
lock screen
screensaver.
behavior.
Yeah, it's not screensaver any longer. It's the lock screen.
Lock screen settings. Okay. Show
Yeah.
lock screen picture. Show lock screen background picture on sign-in screen.
That's not a problem.
Screen timeout settings.
Yeah,
And
you would want to set your timeout settings, although part of that is in the power plan.
Yeah, that is power plan. That's where it took that. But where is
Require PIN or login is somewhere under that lock screen, I think.
Under screensaver, there is an option box that might say on resume display login screen.
let's go to screen.
Yeah.
Screensaver settings.
Let me see what it looks
Change
like.
screensaver. I have none.
And you don't have the on resume box checked?
Correct.
It's unchecked.
That is unchecked.
Okay.
Yeah, you need the screensaver settings, and screensaver settings will say on resume. Okay, it's under screensaver.
Yeah.
When you hit that screensaver link, it will say screensaver none, but there's a checkbox for on resume display logon screen.
Yeah, but he's got it unchecked though, so that should be okay.
All right. I have my lock screen off in my device.
It's got to be a power setting thing.
Lock screen settings. All right. So where do I find lock screen settings?
Let's see. What settings?
I just went into search and it brought me there.
Well, I'm in lock screen settings, but I don't see
yeah.
anything that says.
Let me check and see what screen timeout does.
No, that takes you to power.
Yeah, the question is, if I check the settings on my current power plan, advanced, there's something under sleep. Yeah, there's a sleep after and a hibernate after. Nope.
I got nothing to choose to do.
Yeah. There's stuff about turn off display, but that isn't going to be it.
I'm on lock screen.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking there right now, and I don't see this. It does. There's no option whatsoever to turn this off.
I think when you have your lock screen and it goes into lock screen, you do indeed have to enter your PIN if you do not have automatic login for the device.
Yeah.
Yeah, that may be true.
It goes according to how the device is set up. So if you don't have automatic login, yes, you will need to use your PIN.
Because I know in my case, I always, I just have sleep set to never when it's plugged in. And I've had stuff running in background and it seems to run just fine until it completes, but I may have to come back to the screen and unlock it, but it hasn't shut down anything.
Yeah, so the thing to manage is how often or after what time interval does it go into that lock screen, which is the equivalent of standby.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
When does it start to go to sleep? How many minutes? On my mobile devices, on my laptops and tablets, it's often by default just 5 minutes, which for me is too short.
So one of the things that they took away was the ability to do an auto login.
It's there, but it's kind of buried. It's kind of buried.
Yeah.
But if you do auto login, it means anybody who picks up your laptop can get in.
How to enable? Okay, there is a way to do it. Somebody sent me the link here on how to do this, and I got to do a registry change. I got to go into registry and look into something.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the home edition, it's a registry change. In Pro, I believe there is a way through group policy.
Yeah, you used to do it with NetPlays, PLZ, NET-PLZ.
Yeah, that messes with the registry.
Right, but you can't do that anymore. It's gone.
Yeah, so you make a direct registry change, and there are several articles available which will tell you what change to make.
Oh, NTWIZ, there it is. NetPlays.
Yeah, I'm thinking that may have been superseded by something else.
Right, they changed it.
Group policy is still there.
Yeah, but he's got home, not Pro.
That's true. Yeah. That's the problem with home. They take out the group policy.
They take out all the good stuff that we need.
That's why I just put Pro in place of home.
Well, yeah, this is what mine came with, though. So.
Yeah, and I've seen ones that came with it, and the first thing I do is, okay, burn the home edition. Give me a Pro. I need the network stuff.
Yeah.
All right, I will go through this exercise and see what I find. In the meantime, I will turn this back over to the rest of the users in the club. Maybe they'll have more and better questions than me.
Yeah, but Sanford, one security thing. If your laptop ever travels and ever goes out of your site, you really don't want auto log on to be.
That I understand. In a generality, this laptop stays home and doesn't travel. In a generality. However, okay. I'll heed that warning, and I will make sure that I know how to make the change to put it back into pin mode, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing you can do is real easy. Don't let your computer go to sleep. Don't let it clear leave the screen on.
Okay.
Are you saving anything by leaving the screen on? As long as you're plugged into the wall, you're burning watts on the wall, not anywhere else.
Are these LCDs or the TFT displays subject to burn-in?
No, I don't think so. Not with LED backgrounds. Yeah.
LED is fine. TFT I think is okay. And this would be your when plugged in power plan. Things go off. Things go off or go into standby. Never.
Right.
Or maybe after an hour or two.
Whereas, I mean, you can always manually dim it if you want.
Yeah. The advanced power settings, I think, do allow the screen to dim rather than go off.
Yeah, I seem to remember it, but I didn't see it on any of them when I just glanced at a couple of them.
Yeah. So you may be able to make a custom power plan where the screen will dim, but it won't turn off. And it'll go down to maybe 20% brightness. And then you wiggle the mouse and it'll come back up to 80 whatever percent brightness. I have had tablets that were set up like that from the factory.
Does your video renderer use the video card to do the rendering?
Well, this is an all-in-one PC, so there's no video card. It's an Intel.
Well, I mean, some laptops do have a Radeon or an NVIDIA or some other separate PCI chip.
Very, very good question. This does not have a separate chip.
Yeah.
Okay.
It uses the Intel. There's an Intel
embedded.
It's embedded. Embedded on the CPU is the video part.
Well, I just wondered if the screen blanking interferes with the rendering.
I don't know if it did. I just assumed that it did. That when I'm running some long renders, that it takes a while. So I know that I've seen them suspended, and I come back and going, how come they're not done? Because it timed out for whatever reason. So I just leave the screen on the whole time then.
Okay. All right. Other questions here?
It's not a question, but Sanford, while you were discussing your other problems, I put a private note to you. I probably could have put it for everybody.
Oh,
but if you want to have a custom URL for your YouTube channel, there are some things that you have to abide by. And one of them is have 100 or more subscribers.
Ooh, let's get 100
Another
subscribers.
reason to get some subscribers.
Well, we might be up to 36 today.
And you have to have an uploaded
have
profile picture, and I
everybody
believe
who's
you
a
do.
CCS. The goal would be to have everyone that's a CCS, and I'm assuming everybody here is a member. If you're not, please, we can use your money to keep things going. We need members, so please join. If you're not, please join the Chicago Computer Society. You support us. We have insurance to pay, and Ed and myself and Tim and Bert, we get paid a whopping zero, nothing. And I will say that currently, Tim, Bert, myself, we are probably putting in 30 hours a week or more. Tim is probably putting in 50 hours a week on the society's behalf. So, if people don't subscribe or become a member, we don't feel like we're being wanted. And we also need some people to step up and help.
What do you do in your spare time, Sanford? Go to WTTW, subscribe.
Subscribe. Okay, we need region directors. We need help with the website. We need. Look at Sid. Sid, you're being abused over there.
I know, and I was just going to say she's willing to subscribe to the channel, but she does want TREATS in payment.
I'll give her a treat. I'll give her a treat if she wants.
Yeah, I'll send it to you via email.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So I am not a member, and I am more than happy to become a member, but I don't really know anything about membership. I don't know what membership provides. I don't know how much it costs to be a member. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Bert, you want to step up to the plate on this one? You got to unmute yourself, Bert.
Unmute. Bert, unmute. There he goes.
Our annual dues is $40 a year for people who are in the Chicago area.
Mm-hmm.
For people who are not in the Chicago area, out of the state of Illinois, it's only $15. So basically, if you go
There's
to
a
our
senior
website,
rate too.
Yeah, there's a senior rate, yeah.
that's right, and the senior rate is $30. If you go to ccs.org, you can find out all the information and where to send in a check or pay by PayPal.
You could do it right there via PayPal online.
Do you take Zelle? I don't have PayPal.
They don't take Zelle,
They
yeah.
take a credit card.
Oh, they do?
Oh, you
Credit
take
card.
a credit card? Okay.
PayPal's any credit card.
When you go to PayPal, you put in your credit card on our site.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about membership. Well, you just said that I can go read it, but and certainly with all of the help that you have all given me over the period of time that I've been here, I mean, it's not that I'm cheap. I am more than happy to join and pay either the 15, 30, or 40, whatever you just said. I don't remember which is which, but what if I'm a senior who lives out of state? Like, what if I give you a false address? How does that?
Well, we can check your IP address.
Yeah, if you're out of state, it's $15.
Okay, so I'm in state.
If you're in state, I don't know what the rate is. What is it? 30?
Over 65 is $30.
$30. And Kathy and everybody here, this is a charitable organization. We're a 501c3,
okay,
whatever they call that. Anyways, you can write it off on your taxes. Just remember this.
Okay.
So, feel free to, if your dues are only $30, feel free to give us 130. We'll take any amount that wants to be thrown our direction. But mind you, that it really all it does is pay the bills. That's it. It's just paying the bills of running the organization. It's all volunteers. Nobody here makes a penny off of it. None. And we're in the midst of redoing our website, which is going to take a lot of effort and a lot of time, which it already is. And we're not even quarter of the way into it. And setting up the YouTube channel, all this stuff takes time. And we just want to know that people have our backs by supporting the organization. Otherwise, we feel that we're only doing this for a couple of people, and it's just why we're doing this. So.
And I'd like to point out that last year we held over 50 meetings like this. And so you're welcome to attend all of them and take advantage of, and being a member. They're all volunteers, so everybody has a different program. Sometimes they're focus programs. Sometimes they're just about tips and things that help people, just like we did with Sanford today.
So does the website tell when the different meetings are held? Like the tips one sounds interesting.
Well, when you're a member, you get emails all the time about our meetings.
Okay.
Kathy, the answer to your question is the website used to have an operating calendar that told us all the good stuff. However, our webmaster has passed away. And we are no longer capable of really updating that site. So that site, which was designed 20 some odd years ago, and it shows its age. Once you land on it, you go, what the hell? What kid?
Are you sure it's not closer to 30?
Oh, it might be 30 years old. I mean, it was probably created when the internet was born. The point is that the site is non-functional, except for the fact you can join and you can join through the website right now, and you can pay your membership through there. But the rest of the website kind of works, but you can click through it and see the stuff. But just note that it's all old. It's really old, and that is why we are. 4 of us are currently working at redoing the website. We're working on the groundwork right now and what it needs to be in it and how it's going to perform. It's a lot of work, but anyone who's good with websites, feel free to join up, and they could sit in on our exploratory meetings at what we're doing. But Kathy, I hope that helps you.
I have to tell you something funny. One day, a couple of months ago, I don't know, I had some old papers laying around, and I said, so I have to go through this stack of paperwork. I found an old scrap note, and it said Chicago Computer Society on it, and it was dated like 20 years ago. So apparently I had heard about the Chicago Computer Society like 20 years ago, and I must have had interest in trying to find out about it, but I never did, though. 20 years ago, I've only been coming to the meetings for about, I don't know, 2.5, 3 years now. But I just thought that was funny that about 20 years ago, I guess I was showing interest in it, and I wish I had done it 20 years ago.
And then the website would have been new.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you. Thank you much.
Yeah,
you're welcome. I will say I joined through the website today. It was very easy.
Okay.
Thank you, Bill.
And when I renew, I do it through the website using the PayPal link.
Okay.
One of the other advantages is it's APCUG group that's all over the country, and they put on all kinds of programs too.
We'll touch on that real quick right after we answer Sid's question.
Okay.
Sid, you're muted.
Okay, that's better. See, and I'm muted without even using the mute button. The microphone has a switch on it. I have to say, you need to support these computer clubs because we old geezers need somewhere to go and people to talk to. I mean, look at the average age of computer clubs these days. We need support. Come on.
That we do, and it keeps us, it keeps us gray matter going, even if anything, that's why we're here.
Are the user group discounts still available on the CCS webpage? I know it says members only, and you follow it. It shows it there, but I haven't tried to access it.
The answer is yes.
So if you needed something like a Cronus and you were thinking of buying it outright and you've looked at your best prices, well, you go to our webpage and members only, and you go down, you'll find it and you'll get it discounted for even more than that.
Right. We'll go over to Tim. Tim, can you tell us about APCUG?
APCUG is our parent organization of computer user groups. They are also international in scope. They have Wednesday morning workshops for Central Time. It's 11 o'clock. And they also used to have VTCs on a Saturday once every 3 months. They've now gone to Safari. I honestly don't know what the schedule is for Safari. There was just one recently, and it was on 4K videoing and some of the ins and outs of that. If you attend the meetings, you have to register for the meetings. We send out their news bulletin every month to all the CCS members. You find the ones you are interested in, you click on the URL, it'll bring up a form. You put in your first name, your last name, and you need that name on your Zoom video when you would join the APCUG. You then specify not ccs.org as the group you belong to, but you specify Chicago Computer Society. Also, you give them your email address. Literally around midnight-ish of the day of the meeting is when they will send you an email with a hot link to join in that day's APCUG meeting. I have attended quite a number of them. They do have video links on YouTube also. And I just recently told them about playlists, so they're starting to work, I think, on that. APCUG is only 8 people because they can't find enough people that represent all the regions around the country. So many of them are stacked up with one person trying to cover several regions. So they need help too. And they're not for profit. Part of your dues, everybody's dues, goes to paying the annual fee to APCUG on behalf of CCS members.
So what do we pay them? How much?
$50 a year.
But
They're a nonprofit also, of course.
Yes.
Being part of CCS members, we can go and partake in those APCUG, correct?
Correct. 100%.
And we don't have to pay anything.
That's correct. But it's a case where CCS is the joiner. It has to be a group, not an individual. They will not take an individual. You have to be part of a user group that pays the $50 annual fee, and then they send you information on how to join the meetings once a month. And there's quite a bit of very good news. And if you really listen to them, the funny thing is, when you're done with a meeting, within a 2-week period of time, they will send you a link to get the video before it's posted up on YouTube and for the rest of the world. And they'll also send you any chat notes and other documents the presenters provided to APCUG for that video. So you can get an extra email for everyone you attend that gives you the same video link to replay things, just like this meeting will be up either tonight or tomorrow or something like that to Sanford. But CCS board decided to put in a delay of between 1 and 2 weeks to try and encourage people to come to the physical meetings so that they can ask questions much easier by just either using their microphone, whether they have the camera on or not, or in some cases, they will use a cell phone or a house phone to call a specific number. For this area, it's area code 312. You have to put in the identification of the meeting and passcode, and they'll link you in so that you can talk to people just like most of you are doing at this meeting.
And just one more thing, don't forget to renew your membership when you get your dues bill. For those people who are already members, again, once a year, we'll send out a bill to ask you to renew.
Okay. Any other questions before I go into our presentation for tonight?
Sid's got one.
Okay, go ahead.
Back to the power settings, and I've looked for it. Is there a way to have a different power profile when you're plugged in versus not? In other words, battery priority when it's running on battery and when it's on AC full power?
Yes, Sid, that is exactly how it normally works. There are two different power settings if your device has a battery.
I can't find that.
One group of settings will say when on battery, the other will say when plugged in. And on all the laptops and tablets I've ever had, Windows did automatically provide me with two different settings groups.
Also, when you're on battery, there is a battery saver if you desire it. And also, it's a case where the crazy power setting. If you're looking for it there, you're not going to find it. You got to get into the old settings.
I know, but I'm saying this is what you have right now.
Right.
If you do the system, power, and sleep, and there's the battery plugged in, battery plugged in. And then you can always go to the additional power settings, and then you can, it probably doesn't share that. And when I popped up the other window, did it?
No,
So I need,
you have to get out of this window and go into the other one.
Let me get to the other one to share.
Yeah, just shift your focus.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, that's change share.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
So you can change plan settings, and you can set things up. You can change advanced power settings. You can do all kinds of things. What turns on, what turns off. I mean, you can get yourself into trouble if you go too far with some of these things.
But
I would say keep it
I still
simple.
don't see the place where you set performance level based on battery or based on AC. You can set the display, you can set sleep, I get that. But I can't see where you set it for the performance level.
Sid, you can have different levels of power plans depending on whether you're plugged in or whether you're on battery. When on battery, you might want power saver, and when you're plugged in, you might want performance. Those are two different power plans that are built in.
Yeah, I know, but I have to manually switch between them. I can't find anywhere to automatically do that. I know I got it in my tray, and I can pick the power plan, but I can't find anywhere you can set the power plan depending whether it's on AC or on battery.
The screen that is showing now will do that. It will set up a power plan that will differ between on battery and plugged in. And that's where you do it. And you can also change more advanced power settings, and that will also be on battery and plugged in two different columns.
I'm still confused.
It happens automatically. It happens automatically.
Okay, I've never found that. I don't doubt you, Bob. I've tried.
This is probably what you're looking for. Some of this stuff, minimum and maximum processor state, and whether it turns on the fan or not.
I want to have. I have multiple profiles. Normally, by default, you have balanced, and then you have battery saver. I created a third one, high performance, with never turn off the screen, never go to sleep, and full performance. And I
Okay.
can flip between those, but I can't find a way to actually have them auto-activate depending whether it's on AC or on battery. That's what I'm trying to do.
In order to do that, you would have to set it up as some kind of a scheduled task that executes at logon. And you would still have to somehow have that task start by polling to see whether you're on battery or whether you're plugged in.
Some of those things used to be done on the old profiles when you had your machine either docked or undocked.
Right.
I'm glad I'm not nuts here though, because I looked all over and I couldn't find that. So.
Yeah, I think it might be more convenient to just continue to manually switch, because trying to set that up is a real pain.
If everything is set to never, for the most part, this machine runs full out. Okay, it runs all 4 cores and all 4 hyper threads, and can sit there until the thing starts to cook. Then I better be watching the processor temperature and keep an eye on it, even though I got this thing on a cooler all the time.
Yeah, as I said, I thank you for the info. This machine goes even further in that it has 2 videos in it. It's got the Intel video, and then it's got the separate built-in video with its own memory.
Hey, Sid, this one goes to 11.
Well, I'll mention here, since we've been in this particular territory, and I've never understood it. If you go to MS config, during startup, Windows wants to use only 1 core, not all your cores, to do the startup. You have to go in, and every time you do an upgrade, you got to change this friggin' setting. But it's under MS config. Second tab is for booting. There's an advanced button. You click on that, and the top left is about your cores. Click that and set your cores to that all of them are active at startup, and it helps boost the speed of getting your system up and running, whether you're on battery or on AC power.
You might end up with a machine that melts before it boots, but yeah.
No, I have never had a problem, and I've done this for years and years. Even before 10, I was doing the same thing. Also, a lot of your people have no idea. There's a lot of eye candy to Windows, and eye candy sucks up your horsepower for things you want to do. And what I do is a manual way of bringing it up. I do a Windows key R for run. I type in sysdm.cpl, and it'll bring up an advanced settings screen. You click on the advanced tab, say I want to go to the startup stuff, and it'll list off a long list of all the eye candy going on there. I only have 4 checked off on any of my systems. Everything else, like fading in and out, animation, even shadows under things, that I turn those all off, and that gives me a little bit of a performance boost over the standard stock Windows install.
Question. You touched on something here in those boot advanced options, and you had the number of processors that you could choose.
Can
but
I share my
underneath there, there's one more checkbox that I don't understand. PCI lock.
That one I didn't ever mess with, I'll be honest.
Okay.
Can I share my screen? I can maybe show some of these too.
Go ahead.
Let's see if I can play with
And
this.
Ed does need to start his presentation, so.
It's all right. We're good. I'm ready. I've already sent out a copy in case people want to look at it and chat.
All right. Right now you can't see probably anything because I can't see anything. But
Yeah.
if I do a Windows R, I got a run box at the bottom. Can people see that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. If I key in ms config, I can put .exe, but you don't need it. And I have to put in my UAC because I'm running as a standard.
PCI lock prevents Windows from reallocating input, output, and IRQ resources on the peripheral component interconnect, otherwise known as PCI bus.
Well, understand that part of that goes back to God knows how early MS config has existed. But here's this MS config. Here is boot. I go to advanced options. I click on, put a check mark on number of processors. I do the down arrow. It says I got 4 of them. So I click on 4. And by the way, I had an upgrade recently. I forgot to go back in and do this. Otherwise, it would already been checked and had 4 processors. I don't, this is an Insider Windows 11, and I leave it running 24/7. So that's one. And when you you can click apply, it doesn't matter, or OK, but you got to OK to get out. And if I'm ready to restart the computer, I hit the restart. Otherwise, like right now, I'll just exit. I do the Windows key R again. I key in SYSDMCPL and
.cpl.
pardon?
.cpl.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
.cpl.
.cpl.
Okay. I didn't. Sometimes I don't mention the dot.
Yep.
Even though I can't. If I click advanced, I go to settings. This is all the stuff. And again, it turns things back on every upgrade. And I get more upgrades than you guys do because of being on the Insider program. Normally, I turn off almost everything here except for 4. And those 4 are the only ones I bother keeping. That way I've got the show thumbnail icon instead of icons. I do contents while dragging. Smooth edge screen fonts. I'm not sure that's as important today as it used to be, but I leave it on anyhow. And smooth scroll list so I can read somewhat, depending on how fast I scroll, what's going by. And I just apply it. And if you want to be able to change your virtual setting, that's your virtual memory. Mine set just about 4.5 gigabytes in size. You just hit the change. This is automatic right now. Most of my machines I use custom size, and I specify a minimum and a maximum. Hit the set button, click OK. I'm done. This will not take effect until I do a reboot. So this being an Insider 11 machine, I don't always change everything that's on it.
Before you clear this, you should show the system protection because that's how you turn on your restore points.
Yes. There's
Windows key.
I gotta stop for a second. There's a Windows way of doing it. Mind you, I play with commands because of Linux and somewhat. There's a lot of power in the command line, but most people don't like it simply because of. You remember the name of the command for restore point? I don't remember off the top of my head.
No, I don't, but you can go right into your sysdm.cpl and hit the 3rd tab, and you'll be right there.
All right, I don't remember it, but this is the old way, and it's going to disappear. They've been working very hard on getting rid of the old control panel stuff, and they're promising this year control panel is going to go away. Here's
Okay, so right there, system protection. Click on that. Now, yeah.
Mine's on normally, but
the default is off. So if you want to do restore on Windows 10, you expected you had restore points, you're in for a rude awakening if you needed to restore.
Yes, and now every once in a while I do run various utilities, and once in a blue moon after an upgrade, it may come back and say, hey, wait a minute, before I go ahead with what you want me to do, the restore point's off. Do you want me to turn it on? And then I say, okay, it turns it on, makes the restore point, and does whatever I wanted it to do.
How do we get there again?
This is
system.cpl in the Windows key R, and hit the third tab.
Spell it out again.
Sysdm, sysdm.cpl.
Another way to do it is just in Windows 10 or 11, just go to your search box and type restore point.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the normal GUI way of doing that. But some of this here, there used to be an easy way through GUIs to get to some of this stuff.
Yep.
And that's gone.
Yep. However, the function is still there. You can still enable it. And I don't think they're going to take it away.
No, now the reason take the feature away, but they're taking away the control panel, and that systemdm.cpl is one of those that's the old style control panel stuff. So they've got to change that part, integrate it into the GUI.
If they decide to do that, some of these things they've decided, well, we're going to take that away. And in this case, they would prefer that we use file history and attach permanently an external hard drive.
Yeah, I know. And if you get the right malware or ransomware, that gets all locked up too.
Yep.
Yep.
That's why you have to back up your file history backup drive.
Back up early and often.
Yep. Now, file history does leverage volume shadow copy.
I don't understand that, Bob.
File history.
Yes.
It makes versioning. It does versioning as well as backup of files. Okay. So it doesn't just back up the current version. It keeps a certain number of versions, which you can set. So it keeps the versions into the past the way volume shadow copy used to do.
And a shadow copy is a way of trying to protect you in case something goes wrong. You can back up to a prior module that does work and proceed forward from there. But most of that's hidden. It's not manual intervention.
Right. So you can go back to a previous version. And also your work could be saved periodically, like if you're working on a Word document. It could be backed up off your hard drive or your SSD so that if it crashes or if something goes wrong, then you can get back to your work. But it does require dedicating a hard drive. And you've got to remember that hard drive is as vulnerable as your system drive.
Yep. And it's got to be there when you boot up.
Yep. If you detach it, then that discombobulates everything.
Yeah. Does not like it. Okay. All right. Everybody ready for the presentation?
Yeah, just a quickie. I didn't get the file in chat. I sent you a private message there. But are you sure you sent it to everyone?
Oh, I'll check. I thought I did.
No.
No, I didn't. I only sent it to Sanford. I'm sorry. Let's see. Let's do to everyone. Everyone in meeting. Okay.
I feel on it.
Your computer. Green button. Thank you. Sent.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Share. Boom. Green button data. All right. So some of you have followed me along where I was playing with my kilowatt meter and measuring power usage, and I'm probably a little bit more cognizant of how much power I'm using in this house than a lot of people do. Now, there may be a couple of exceptions on this call, though, but one of the things that you can do to make your house more efficient and send less money to ComEd or your favorite utility is to keep track of how much power you're actually using and whether or not you're wasting power in certain areas. But with a kilowatt meter, you can only measure one plug at a time. What happens when you want to do your whole house and you don't have a whole bushel basket of these kilowatt meters? If you are a smart meter user and you're on the ComEd service area, or maybe some others, you might be in luck. Some local areas like Michigan, out in Harbor Country, they only read your power usage once a month. Okay, so it's not going to do you too much good. But in ComEd area here, it's capturing your power usage over the last 30 minutes and sending it up to a server to be captured, and then it can be accessed and redisplayed. So every 30 minutes, everybody's meter burps up and sends how much power it's used in the last 30 minutes. If there's a power failure, it may not get it up there, but they're not worried about one packet being lost. Or if power is still down, they're not worried about sending too many things because nobody's using any power. And then the meter has several different ways of letting you access the information. One of them, and I've talked about this before, is using a display device in my house from Rainforest Automation, which talks to the meter via Zigbee, and it's able to display real-time information from my meter, like what the current meter reading is and how much power I've used in the last 24 hours and how much I've used this today, and shows me a little bar graph of the information on a little LCD display. And it also can show me a red, yellow, green, depending on what threshold I want it to tell me about, whether or not and these are configurable. If I'm below 800 watts, then it's going to be green. 800 to about 3,000 is yellow. Above 3,000 is red. And the Rainforest Automation, there's several different versions of the device. One of them connects up to Ethernet or to Wi-Fi, and you can access the information electronically. Or you have the one that I have that has a USB connection, and you can actually tap some of the information should you need it to. But you can actually get pretty much similar information from ComEd and have it given to you in a CSV file. So if you want to look to see where you're trying to find your information, you log into your account under ComEd, look under My Usage, and you might see the thing that says My Green Button Data. And there's another section under My Usage where you can do some quick graphs that are built into their website. So you can do some quick what-ifs without having to analyze any data. But here's the screen I'm talking about. So you're logged in, and your My Usage, View My Usage is one set of screens. My Green Button Data is where you can download the raw data. If you click these other ones, they're going to try and guess at what you're using. They'll ask you some questions, but it's not going to be the same level of information. So if you just click on My Usage, the default comes up into energy costs, and it shows you basically the average data temperature and what your electricity usage was every day for the last so many days. And you can change some of these things to go by billing period. You can go to the full previous billing period, or if you click on a day, you can do individual days as well. And when you put the cursor over one of these things, it'll actually pop up the information and tell you what the temperature was, high and low temperature as well. This is not something that normally comes down with the green button data. It'd be nice, but you can probably obtain this in other locations as well. And another thing you can click on is you can click on a day and it will expand the day view and then show you the temperature as well during that day, so you can get a rough idea of, well, what was I using the power for. When you click the neighbor view, if you are one of the efficient ComEd users, you'll see that information sent to you in a letter like once a month or an email, and you can see where you're compared to your most efficient neighbors. So I usually hover between the most efficient neighbor or right around, sometimes lower, sometimes higher. And they don't really take into account how long my furnace runs. I think that's probably one of the things that controls whether or not I'm the most efficient person on the block or the least efficient. But that's built-in graphs, okay? The interesting stuff is in the green button data itself. And if you're a Excel wizard, you can do all kinds of fun stuff. You have choices here on exporting all of the bill totals. Like for the bills, you may want to see what the monthly totals were and some other things. If you do the detail from and through dates, it'll actually give you the every 30-minute stuff. So most of the time, you're going to get a CSV format file for import to Excel, or you may want to pre-process it with your favorite text editor. XML format for other apps. Not everything can export to XML. If you export usage for a billing period, you can only select CSV and you can only select current or past billing periods. But if you do a range of dates, you can do as far back as a year. Okay, and you can also do multiple years if you want. Do each one for a year and then put them together and then load them into whatever your favorite processor is. And then this is the kind of information of what you're going to see in the CSV file. So you're going to see the date, and then at midnight. So from midnight to 29 minutes past the hour, I used half a kilowatt. Okay, and then from 30 minutes past the hour through 59 minutes, I used another 0.38 kilowatt. So you can see how these things vary a little bit. Some of these might be a little higher because, okay, the furnace was on here, okay. Other times you might see some variation. If you do this overnight while the furnace is in shutdown, you should be able to tell when your refrigerator turned on and turned off. Or if you have a freezer, you can start to see cycles like this as well. If you plot this on a graph over a period of time, and sometimes this is easier to do in the warmer months where you don't have the heat on, you don't have the cooling on, you don't have fans on, you just have the windows open. What else is running? You got your refrigerator and your freezer and some other items you might have, occasional light or two. But in the middle of the night, you're not going to have too many lights on. So you can usually infer how many times your refrigerator is cycling a day. And that might tell you, okay, my refrigerator needs to be replaced. It's got a bad seal because it's running 6 times a day and it should only be running about 4. Or somebody's standing there with the door open all the time and then you have to yell at people. But a lot of interesting things you can do with this information once you have it. And this is probably even better than a kilowatt meter, because the kilowatt meter, basically I can't tap it and save it anywhere. And this thing for the whole house, well, I can save the whole thing. So that's basically what I had tonight. And you can see, like I said, usefulness of, how many times you're cycling the furnace or AC based on outside temp, if you get the outside temp numbers. And then this gives you an idea of how much power you think you're using, and maybe you should go around and see what things are on that I should be turning off that I shouldn't leave on all the time. I mean, you're not going to get a lot by turning off the clock on a microwave oven, okay, because that's almost like free. But if you have an extra cable box that's not being used, cable boxes, they're about 40, 50 watts a piece. Your cable modem is going to be drawing at least 15 watts. The router connected to the cable modem, that's easy another 15 to 20 watts. If you have some Ethernet switches, well, start adding up the amount of power and how many ports you got hooked up into those. If you have an extra access point, that standard power over Ethernet, 15.4 watts. You start adding these things up, all of a sudden you say, hey, I know where that 0.38 kilowatt hours is coming from. It's all these things that are turned on just using up power. So the other thing, I sort of played with some of this stuff, my own data, and just happened to bring it in and use the, this is like an old version of Excel, 2007 Excel, in fact. And I just used a subtotal on the numbers to give me a subtotal by day, and then just did a quick chart, plotted it. So this is from day one of the year, and this is like day of the year, and then just going onward forward. And just seeing, you know, how much am I using? Oh, it was colder during that part of the year, and I'm using a little bit less now. But that's power use per day. So, and that's basically my presentation. Any questions? Yes, go ahead, Sid.
Okay, I got an offer from Edison to go on to hourly billing instead of the standard rate stuff. And it was so confusing whether you'd actually save money at that or not.
The one thing you can see on the hourly billing, okay, when electricity is not in demand, you can save a ton of money in terms of your cost per kilowatt hour. You can take the cost of the electricity you use almost in half with demand billing. However, on the other side is, if you want to use power when everybody else is, you pay a premium. And this is where you'll get hit, is probably in the air conditioner, okay? Unless you have some very efficient devices, or you've got a power wall where you can store some of the power when it's cheap and then use it internally when it's not cheap. Most people aren't going to save by the demand pricing. In Texas, all those people down there had set up for demand pricing because they thought they were going to save on their air conditioning costs. Guess what happened when the half of the grid in Texas crashed, and all of a sudden the power per watt, or the price went skyrocketing, and some of these people ended up with $500 electric bills because it was all demand pricing.
You can download the pricing every day for the next day.
Yeah.
And there are times when it's actually negative.
Almost, yeah. So in our area, you can get some good prices. Like I said, it can be good, but remember, all the power you use, you still got to pay the transmission costs.
That's
transmission
right.
costs add up to half of the power that, or half of your bill. A good half of your bill is right now. ComEd is delivering power to me at about 7.25 cents a kilowatt hour. When I average that over the cost of the bill, it's closer to 14 cents an hour.
Yep.
So, you know, they always get paid to deliver the watts. And I don't know what happens if you have solar on your house. I don't think they pay you the transmission costs. You might be able to make the power go away by having a solar battery on your roof and seed power back into the grid and run the guy's air conditioner next door, but you're not going to get the cost of the transmission back.
Oh.
Yeah, I got to look at the fine print, Terry.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, the letter actually mentioned that it could occasionally go negative, but the fine print of the letters don't expect it to ever really happen for you. Because if it does, it might happen for an hour in the middle of some night, once in a blue moon. But that's about it. And their use case on that is where the power company doesn't want to turn off the generators, and they're sending out more power than people need, and therefore it goes negative for that reason. But it didn't seem like a great one. And then on the other side, their estimated savings by going hourly, it says up to 15%, which doesn't seem like that great of a savings opportunity.
Now, if we had a thing that supported, what's the term? Remote net metering, where you could basically invest in a solar voltaic farm out in Nevada and have it pump in power here, pump in power to the grid and offset your usage here, that would be great. But unfortunately, ComEd does not support that. You can do stuff within the state of Illinois, but you can't do it from someplace where they have excess solar.
It's just like when you get these things where they want to sell you power, third party.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, that's really just the electricity. That's only like about 40% of your total bill.
Yeah, it is. It's not a lot. And anyone who tries to sell me solar, I said, here, tell you what, come over, take a look at my basement. I already got 8 panels down there. You want to help me put them on the roof?
Yeah. Then they had another option where they have a device that hooks to, I think, your air unit, so they can cut it off during peak times.
Yeah, if during peak and you want to use your air conditioner, you can't because this thing turned it off. That's basically what it does. Yeah, and you can get a break on the power by doing that, and they allow to shut you down. But it's been my experience with air conditioning, and at least with my relatively highly efficiently insulated house, that when I need the air conditioning, it'll finally turn on after 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon is when it will finally turn on. After being on all day, it won't even do anything until that time. Then it finally is warmed up enough and it needs to use the air conditioner. That would be the time that they would not allow my air conditioner to run. So I would have to anticipate using it, cool down the house a little bit more before my window closed, and they can change the time of day that thing changes on. You can go to their website and see, okay, when are we going to get shut down? When are we not?
Well, they may charge you a demand charge, and whatever your peak is, 30-minute peak during the peak hours, like 6 in the morning to 9 in the evening. Once you set that, you get stuck with that.
Yeah, the demand charge is definitely, once you're in a demand meter, because if you're in a large facility, like our church has a 900 amp 3-phase service coming into it, and we have demand meter. And once that demand meter ticks, that all the other prices go out the window because the maximum demand is the thing that wins. And they base all your prices based on the demand that you use over that 30-minute window. So if it you used to use the demand meter physically would have a little click relay, and it would actually advance and step every time you hit over so many watts on the demand, it would click. So yeah, you don't want to get into that situation if you can avoid it. In terms of residential, it's better for you to use regular just metered service and not have to deal with the demand.
Yeah, when I was consulting, I worked at a food plant, and their demand, their 30-minute demand was like 60%.
Wow.
Of one 30-minute demand, one 30-minute period, was 60% of the electric bill for that month.
Yeah, and it doesn't take too many of those demand periods. I mean, when you have something like a church, which is mostly used on weekends, okay, Sunday morning, you turn on all those lights, boom, click, 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 click. All of a sudden you wonder, why are we've barely used 25,000 kilowatt hours in a year. How come we got this huge this huge bill here?
Well, they had generators, and I had a model.
Oh, wow.
Okay. When to run their generators. And so, and of course, we downloaded the daily pricing, so we know when to run the generators.
Yeah. But then you got to keep how many hours the generator is run, so you know when you got to replace the brushes on the generator and when to do a PM on the generator, all that good stuff.
Yeah, these are big gas turbines.
Oh, even worse. That means there's a lot more PM involved. They have to be taken out of service. Oh, you got 10,000 hours on those turbines. Yeah, you better be breaking them down soon. Other questions? Anyone else? Has anyone else ever looked at the green button data other than me? Nobody else. I don't know if you have the same setup, Bob, where you have the same every 30-minute in your area or not.
It's available.
It
and various demand pricing. We also have aggregation, and we get to choose suppliers. Right now, our city has a green option where you do total renewables, or you can do their aggregation, or you can roll the dice with our electric company, the big utility. Our big utility burns a lot of natural gas, and the price has spiked.
Yep.
So it turned out people who signed up with the city didn't do too badly. But I have a gripe with the sales tactics of the company the city chose. So I'm sticking with our big supplier anyway.
Yeah, I know that there's a couple of those things that have happened, especially with MC squared. Like at the beginning of the aggregation period, it was fine, but then they had a user fee that got tacked on. So it was an additional $5, and then it was $10 a month just to send them money by the end of the contract. And I was glad they finally ended that. Sanford, you had your hand up.
Bob, are you with National Grid?
No, here it is Eversource. National Grid does our gas in Waltham. National Grid does do electric, and Eversource also does natural gas. And up in the Merrimack Valley, where they had the big explosion, Eversource took over, not National Grid.
Okay, that's the company my son works for, is National Grid.
Yeah, that'd be my gas supplier.
Yeah, but they're an electric supplier too.
Yeah,
and he was telling me that out by where he's at, Wakefield, which is just east of you.
Yeah.
They apparently must have signed on with or National Grid signed up with what do I want to say? A natural gas power station, a newly built one to take over that. And now there's a lot of problems because of the fact that everyone believes that they were going towards a green solution, and natural gas not being a green solution. So it's counterproductive, whatever. This is internal politics out there.
Massachusetts is investing heavily in offshore wind, as is Rhode Island, and Cape Cod Energy does more than National Grid or Eversource with wind. However, Boston, the city, and the North Shore around Revere is starting to catch up. Revere and Everett both have offshore wind. So there are wind turbines around, and we're trying to get more. And we have a program at the state level to go green. I think it's by 2036 or something. So eventually things are going to change. And there's going to be a lot less difference between these aggregation plans and the regular suppliers. And don't forget, transmission, or what we call delivery, is still in the hands of either National Grid or Eversource or Cape Cod, depending on where you live. So that's about 47% of your costs.
Does your wind power actually stay locally, or is it exported somewhere else?
We have a tendency to be an importer because there's also wind up in New Hampshire and Vermont and various places. They have renewables up there. So we tend to be a net importer in Massachusetts, eastern Massachusetts.
Some places don't keep it locally. But talking to a woman in Wyoming, she said all the wind power out there goes to Florida.
Yeah, that's true. Out west, they have very few local users. So they do a lot of exporting. But that basically means the wind farm operators are making more money. And if the operator is your utility company, they're actually getting a good deal off of that. But usually it's not your utility company that is the wind farm operator. It's a different company.
Right.
So yeah, the wind is where it is and the users are where they are. Florida doesn't have a heck of a lot of wind. I mean, occasionally they do, but not constantly. The Pacific Northwest actually has.
They call them politicians down there.
No, that's Chicago. Chicago became known as the Windy City for that. But anyway,
it's a misnomer also. It's much windier places.
Yes, but the reputation happened in the nominating convention that nominated Abraham Lincoln.
Yep. I noticed that when I look at some of the bills for like other states, because I have a Michigan place, the Michigan power is like 10.8 cents a kilowatt hour. but the delivery is a fraction. So they still must be, but they do charge a renewable energy surcharge. $3 a bill.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if because Indiana, Michigan, I'm pretty sure they're the ones that have that big wind farm down near, as you can see on 65 as you're coming north. There's this huge, all these red lights blinking at night. And they're all blinking in tandem. Like blink, blink.
Yep.
You're like, what the heck is that? This is the landing zone for the saucers, right? And, no, it's a whole giant wind farm over there.
Yeah, I thought last I read the world's biggest wind farms are actually in downstate Illinois.
Yeah, and that's the thing about some of those. If you've ever been underneath some of these things, they make a lot of noise.
But you got to be like right there.
Yeah, but birds don't like it, and animals don't like it.
Birds don't like it, and I remember when in Hawaii 30 years ago, happening to go all the way down to South Point and the Big Island, and we were driving on the grass where we weren't supposed to in the park, and drove right past some of the large windmills that are down there that they use to pick up the prevailing winds, and those were howling. Yes.
Yeah.
But I will say, out east by Bob, there is acres and acres of solar farms. They may not have wind, but boy, do they got solar installations out there.
Yeah.
When I've traveled through that state numerous times, I'm just amazed at the installations of solar out there.
Well, when they
showing
built
up here too.
When they built the Mass Pike, our turnpike, which runs straight through the middle of the state, breaks it into north-south, they deliberately said any right-of-way that belonged to the state in association with the Mass Pike was going to be devoted to solar farms. And every interchange that they could, every side of the road, every hillside, and we've got a lot of hillsides, was every south-facing hillside was devoted to solar.
So do they have to run power back in them to get the snow off of it every once in a while?
I don't know what they do in wintertime, how they clear them.
Well, if you put power back into a solar cell, it warms up.
Yeah, well, it's possible. I don't know the details of it. What I do know is that the town of Weston, which is just to the west of Waltham, they really hate Mass DOT and the Mass Pike because they claim that salt runoff from it killed 2 of their wells.
Oh, it may have. Yeah, that's a problem around here. Even like golf courses cannot use the small lagoons that are collecting water nearby because there's too much concentration of salt and it will actually kill the grass. So they got to dig their own shallow wells and pump it from deeper to be able to water their golf courses.
Yeah. I don't know how much impact my apartment community actually has, but we have a lot of salt and sand that we use because we're a steep hillside and we have a pond right below.
Ooh.
And in the wintertime, you can see a plume of unfrozen pond. And it's coming right out of our discharge culvert.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know whether this is actually killing anything in there, but I don't think it can be good if it's causing that much weakness in the ice.
I did see something recently on one of my science website feeds that this one inventor came up with an idea to harvest some of the light that normally we normally use for solar cells. Solar cells basically use with visible light. Okay, they don't use any of the ultraviolet. And ultraviolet shines all the time while the sun is up, goes right through the clouds.
Right.
So he found a way to put a coating on top of some of the solar cells that takes the ultraviolet light and re-radiates it as regular light and be able to make use of the power. And he's looking for, some investors to help him along.
Now, if only we could find something that uses infrared so that we could get rid of this greenhouse effect.
Now that would be something. Yeah. Yeah. What's that called? That big thermal engine?
Yeah, but those use geothermal.
No,
not atmospheric.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think of the one.
Because the atmospheric heat is waste heat. There's nothing you can do with it chemically.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the name of the one that they used to use. They use as the large pistons and such. I can't think of the name of it.
Well, while you're looking that up, maybe we can move on to something else.
Okay. Stirling engine. That's the one I'm thinking of.
What does that do?
It uses a heat and a cold source and uses a variable displacement piston that basically converts the heat transfer to motion. And it turns relatively slowly, like a Stirling engine might, only turn 230 RPM or something like that. And it would have to be geared up if you wanted to drive a generator. But they're very large, okay, for the horsepower you get out of it. But basically it runs on waste heat.
Oh. So they run on waste heat.
Yeah. As long as you have a hot source and a cold source and something in between them, it was the Stirling engine, it'll generate electricity out of it. So, any other questions we have, folks, before we'll bring this meeting to a close? Okay, Sid's waving his hand.
Back to your presentation.
Yes.
How much power is used by what they call phantom bricks? In other words, you have all these power bricks in outlets all over.
The problem is not all power bricks are the same, okay? With my power bricks that power my HP business laptops, if the battery is charged and the unit is just plugged in, its net wattage is like less than a watt, okay? Ones that have a conventional transformer and a rectifier and a regulator, the old style larger transformer bricks, they'll draw whatever the rated wattage is, like at least half the power in transformer losses. Okay. But and the old ones they'll draw, but high-end phone chargers, once they've charged up your phone, they basically draw nothing. Same thing. So a lot of the efficient ones basically will turn off. You get more usage from cable boxes, which have to be on all the time. Cable TV boxes are decoding all the time, whether you're powered on or powered off. They're still connected because they're downloading your channel guide and they're doing other stuff as well. And you can just put your hand over it, and if it feels warm, it's using power. But I looked around at a number of things. A conventional transformer, if nothing is drawn off of the secondary, it'll draw some, a couple, like a watt or two. But if it's actually rectifying it and supplying it to some device, it's going to be using power. Have I counted how many phantom devices I have? No, I have a lot. But again, a lot of machines, like same thing with a PC that's plugged in that's not turned on. It can draw like phantom power, like less than a watt. But you turn it on, it's going to fire up right away. But it's still drawing a little tiny bit to keep the Keep Alive battery going.
And a lot of TVs have that. They have instant on settings.
Yeah, there's some TVs can actually draw some power when they're in the off state. Usually it's between 5 and 10 watts, depending on how old the TV is. If the TV is able to connect and do something based on whether it's an HDMI connection turns it on or such, then it's got to draw more power because it's looking to see somebody changing state on an HDMI connection, and I should enable to turn on the TV or turn it off. That's how like a Roku can turn on the TV or turn it off. It's not doing it through the TV remotes. It's doing it through the HDMI connection.
Yeah, I've got a TiVo that does that.
Yep.
If you have an electric car, you have a phantom drain all the time.
If you have an electric car, you already have the fastest electric meter on the block.
Yeah, I plug my car in, it's 48 amps at 240.
Whoa! That's like an electric stove, or no, it's an electric dryer going.
It is. It is.
It's an electric dryer, yeah. It's more than, it's 2 electric dryers. I know that, like, I can compare the cost of my electric dryer versus our parsonage electric dryer, and I've always see that house is never on the efficient neighbor list. Just because drying with electric heat, that's very expensive.
I figured it only cost me 4 cents a mile though to drive the car versus, whatever it is with the gas.
Yeah, that helps. But I work it the other way. I have a Prius and I have a Traverse. If I average out the mileage between the two, my fleet is getting 37 miles a gallon. But I know that if you look at, there was an article in today's Tribune comparing like the heating power plants that you can use in your house. I mean, because they're talking about people that might be using propane in the Northeast, and if they got natural gas, what happens when we start running out of natural gas, or they want to start shutting off natural gas for various things. They're talking about not allowing any more gas stoves to be sold. They're thinking about those kinds of things.
New York, they don't even allow them to use natural gas to heat buildings, any new buildings they build.
And on new buildings, yeah. Because natural gas, that's still the cheapest thing to heat your house with for the most part, unless you have the most efficient heat pump on the planet. But every time the power system is our electrical power is probably the least reliable of the utilities in terms of availability. Because whenever the power goes out, it's going to go out for an hour or two, and that's like maybe 3 nines availability. When's the last time your natural gas went out? Kind of rare. Okay, as long as they put gas in on one end, it comes out the other, and until that day happens, a lot of people are going to continue to use natural gas. But unless you have your own solar panel, and then you can, offset when the power company goes away.
Around here during the warm season, they often cut off natural gas because they have so many mains that have to be repaired and replaced.
Yeah,
and they also have a minimum charge on the gas bill of $15 a month.
Well, in a little bit farther south in Brooklyn, Brooklyn Union Gas years ago used to have problems because people would decide to recycle some of the gas lines, even though they're in use.
Yeah.
So there'd be a trench, and somebody would have ripped up 100 feet of gas line because of the copper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's send Stanford back in. Okay, you're back, Sanford.
Why was he gone?
I'm not sure. He may have had a network availability issue.
No, I was trying to solve this problem, and I've rebooted like 3 times. The problem has not been solved yet with suggestions that I've gotten. So, I'm sorry if I'm bouncing around. I'm just not going anywhere with this yet.
Okay.
But I appreciate all the suggestions I've gotten, I'm going to have to seek higher, better authorities. I don't know.
Good luck on that.
Now, which problem is it that's not getting solved?
I cannot identify it at this moment, but the problem is I cannot perform the backup function to the server. So something is blocking it, and I thought we might have had it solved, but we don't. So I don't know what to tell you if it has to do with. I'm sorry, I'm pausing here because my brain is going in 30 directions.
Yeah.
I don't know if it has to do with the shadow copy service or if it has to do with permissions and security, which all these things I've tried to root out. There's several settings that I've had to make changes and tweaks on.
What is your backup program you're using again, Sanford?
Well, it's actually Windows Home Server backup service.
So using the backup on Windows Home Server, you're not using another backup program.
You are correct.
Okay.
And it's 2011 version 2. I'm sorry, the Home Server 2011, and the backup service won't run. It keeps erroring out, and so when I run it, it tells you. I think I have to call it back up again because I closed it out. View details and error prevented. from creating a snapshot of the volumes on this computer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened with my Macrim Reflect when the protected folders wasn't allowing the program to run. And it was the volume shadow copy part of the program that was being blocked. And I don't know whether it was Defender that was blocking it, so you might check your recently blocked list, or whether it was specifically the ransomware protection.
Okay, let me go to Defender.
See if there's a recently blocked item when you just ran this.
All right, that would be under Threat and Protection.
Yeah. It will be when you call up the shield and you go virus and threat protection, and there should be protection history, which would show you anything recent.
There's threats and nothing from this moment in time.
Nothing with that name, with that process name.
No, nothing is showing up here. Ransomware protection is turned off.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you have a different permissions issue, and it has to do with your networking.
Right.
And that's going to be a bear to track down.
Which is, yeah, like I said, I might have to seek better authorities and better help. Someone who's willing to, it's more or less someone sitting down with me, and we're going to try this, try that, try this.
Yeah, you may have to really tear into your network.
I'm going to, I'll have to contact somebody that I know that's an IT person that's really a network guru, and they should be able to help this. So
yeah, and then you'll find out it was something really simple, and all you got to do is flip a switch.
Oh yeah, it'll probably be something real simple. Probably a simple change, because, like I said, it runs on my other boxes. I have two other Windows 10 machines, but both of them have been upgraded to Windows 10.
Yeah.
They all work on there. They worked before the upgrades, and they work currently. No issues. None.
Are those that you upgraded, were they originally set up with a home group?
No. No.
Okay, because home group does not exist in Windows 10.
Yeah. And that's
so,
a good question about home group. And I remember doing home groups a long time ago, but.
Yeah, we're talking about network shares and how they are set up. This new one, I think, got set up some different way.
Right.
And that different way isn't working the way it should with Windows Home Server.
Right.
You would run into the same problem if you had a mixed Linux and Windows network.
Microsoft,
you have to set it up.
Microsoft loves to create fantastic products and then turn them off and then get rid of them. And I just don't get it. I don't get it.
I wonder if it could be in network discovery. You've got the public, private, and I forget what the third category is. But one of those may be set differently than your other machines, and that might be the permission area that you need.
Network discovery settings. All right. Control panel. All right, I'll look in there.
Yeah, because a lot of the new machines, when you get them, networking is, especially for Wi-Fi, is set up for public, not private. And sometimes that makes a difference because public has extra security features private doesn't have.
Okay.
So that could be a source of some conflict that I just.
Do I need to turn on network discovery?
Well, network discovery is usually on no matter what, but it's either you're either set up for public Wi-Fi, private Wi-Fi, and there's it's some kind of a sharing feature at the bottom, third section.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember this off the top of my head.
Type in network in the search toolbox, go to network sharing. Your network connections. If you see network sharing. They don't make this easy, do they?
No,
Oh,
it's to keep nosy busybodies out of it.
I don't see what we're looking for in here.
Hang on a minute. I'll see if I can bring it up on a third computer here now, because I'm recording on the other two and I can't bring it up. I don't want to bring it up there. Let's put it that way, unless I'm sharing.
Yeah.
Let me find what I'm looking for, and I'll get back to you in a minute.
Yeah, so Sanford, what he's saying is there are different security environments depending on how the share is set up.
Okay.
And it also depends on how the work group is set up. Because they don't use home group now, they use work groups. And what I have read is that compared with Windows networking, Samba, which came from Linux, seems to be a lot more consistent once it is set up.
So if I click on my Wi-Fi connection and I do a properties or status of this, nowhere does it state anything about public or private.
That's usually under Wi-Fi.
Well, that's where I'm at.
Okay.
I found something else, Sanford, that might help. You said you had VSS access denied admin events.
Right.
I just looked up that thing and it gives you some possible fixes and registry changes to make sure that the shadow service is started, and also to allow the access controller key. You can check on the machines that work and see what's set on those, and then compare it to the one that's not working. Well, I mean, it might be a registry setting between the two of them, where in one it's not started, it's not set up, so that's why it fails. And the other one, because it was inherited from a previous version of Windows, has that default registry set already enabled.
Yeah, that's what I figured. It's got to be a registry setting somewhere.
Well, that's one that looks like the closest that starts to fix the problem with the VSS admin denied. That's the thing I just sent you as a link.
Okay, wait, you sent me as a link in the chat, right?
In the chat, right.
Okay, let me pull that up and I will ponder that while we are gone.
Okay, so he says, just to mention on this one, it's like 30 or 4 down. This issue occurs when using a third-party backup program that utilizes Windows VSS Volume Shadow Service and has its own requester. It looks like the requester, the backup application, does not allow the system writer to call back into the process and hence generates the error in the application log.
Okay.
Okay.
So if it's close to what you're looking at, I mean, right, it might give you another path to look at.
Now, I also have Macrium Reflect on here. Do you think that could be blocking it?
Sanford, what you might want to do is see whether on that computer, Macrium Reflect Free is running into a similar blockage.
Okay.
If it is, you do need to do something in the registry.
Okay, Macrium Reflect has no problem running on this machine.
Okay.
Should I uninstall Macrium and not have that on here at all?
I don't think it would change anything that would mess up Windows Home Server backup.
Okay.
Because Macrium Reflect, while it does run its own version of the shadow copy service, it's leveraging the Windows shadow copy. Okay. And it's not really trying to make the kinds of changes that I don't think it makes the kinds of changes that would cause the issue that you're having. I don't think the two programs conflict.
Okay.
Offhand, this is gets into Windows security, the shield. Windows security, firewall and network protection. Part of the private public network feature also incorporates settings in the firewall. if the firewall on your current laptop doesn't allow this connection, that's a good part of your problem. And the firewall settings, personally speaking, are a pain in the butt to play with. I use a third-party piece of software to play on just one of my machines, and I'm constantly running into issues where something should work, it doesn't work. I get in there, I look at the event viewer within that third-party application, and I'm having to allow things to go through that were being blocked.
I sent you another link, Stanford. Windows Home Server backup fails on Windows 10 because of VSS permissions.
Right. To circle back to that link that you sent me, I had done those steps already.
Okay. Well, this other one links to somewhere else off of Microsoft, talking about account permission under both registry and DCOM.
Yep, I went through this article too.
Okay, all right.
Where they identify the VSS hexadecimal call numbers. They give you an error code. Access denied. I went through all these steps already.
You're getting that error code or no?
Yes, I have gotten that error code too.
Okay.
By digging, yep, sure enough, it just failed again. And this time it says cannot connect to the Windows Server backup provider service. I have no idea what the hell that is. And I searched that one, and I went and did a reboot on the server and a reboot on this machine to make sure they were both in sync, and it's still not going.
Does it not work? Do you have Windows Firewall enabled? By default, you do.
No.
You have it completely off?
I have the ransomware turned off. You're saying turn off?
No, I'm talking Windows Firewall. If it could just be a network problem between the two machines.
Okay, network. I
just found something.
Private network firewall is on. Do I turn it off?
You can try and turn it off and see if it makes anything work.
Okay. I'll try turning it off right now.
I mean, it could be a port that's blocked that you normally don't need, but in this case, it might need something, or it doesn't have that machine in its trust circle.
Let me go and try this right now. I turned off the firewall and see what happens with that one. Bombed out again.
All right, it's not firewall. Okay.
I thought it was firewall.
Well, it still is something that is being in, and you did have a hint in the fact that in the ransomware in your security, it said some stuff was being quarantined.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's another possibility. I just stumbled across something I didn't even know existed, mostly because I don't use apps that much. But if you go to your search feature on Windows 10, key in firewall, one of them, there's two of them in there. Check firewall status and find and fix problems with Windows Firewall. And under Defender Firewall, apps allowed shows you a table of apps that can be activated or deactivated with a check mark. And each one of them can have private or public setting. This is the first I've seen this.
No, I used to use this all the time in older versions of Windows.
Well, it's still
you'd have to poke specific holes in firewalls, but usually not always. In the newer ones, you can't really turn the firewall off completely, and the older ones, when you turned off the firewall, it was off.
Yeah.
So you not only have to try and turn it off, you have to go in and allow the app to go ahead and do anything with it.
So here's a thought. Can Windows Defender be temporarily turned off?
I don't think they allow you to.
If you put it in a third-party app, it usually does disable it.
So there must be some switch that would turn it off.
Probably is, but they're not going to tell you explicitly.
Maybe someone online has found it.
All your AV companies know what it is because when you install their software, it gets shut off.
So are we thinking it never showed up in a forum where this switch might be?
You never know, but it might take you quite a while to find it.
Folder access, ransomware.
By the way, Sanford, we'll be sending you our bills.
Okay. No problem.
What about the app firewall? There's a thing that says allow an app through firewall.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Well, that's the thing that Tim was just mentioning, and it depends on whether it's a private or public hole that it can utilize. Sometimes you have to add rules too.
Actually, the real-time protection of Windows Defender can be switched off. There is a setting for that. And I'm just saying, as a test, see whether it's Windows Defender or real-time protection that's doing the dirty deed.
So far, I have not found the backup program listed in here.
You don't have to do that. There's a toggle switch. Let me call up the link. It says how to permanently disable it, but I think this is reversible. Let me make sure it is reversible.
Okay, so far I'm looking at under Control Panel, Security, Defender, Firewall, Allow Apps. And I don't see the app that I'm looking for listed in here.
Well, you may have to add the rule. That's part of the head.
Okay. Yes, you can temporarily disable Windows Defender using the Windows Security app. It can be done. And apparently it is reversible.
Okay, I see what you're getting at about, I'm going to have to search for this.
It's the Manage Settings option.
And you got to click under Security Providers.
Oh,
yeah.
Hold it. I'm still trying to, I'm back at allowing apps to go through Windows Defender wall. So I got to go find this program first to be able to do that. I'm not at where you're at. I'm still a table behind. So.
Okay. What I'm going to do is post a title and a link of an article. And I'm just going to send it to you, Sanford.
Okay.
And it's just going to allow you to temporarily disable the Windows Defender real-time protection. And it's just a toggle switch, so you can toggle it off and then see if it'll work, and then toggle it back on. If it works when it's off, then that means that's what's causing the issue.
All right. It's going to take me a while to dig through all these suggestions and trial and error and reboot and blah, 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 blah. But
yeah, I'm just going to put that over here, and there it is.
Okay. And you guys may hear about this at the next meeting.
Well, we do want to hear how it comes out.
Yeah, we do want to hear about it. Yeah.
If it worse comes to worse, and you're still having problems and you think it could be firewall, I get a hold of me, and I've got a third-party program, and I'll walk you through a little bit of it. It helps you find what is blocking, and then you selectively say, allow the program. It creates the rule for you. You don't have to figure out how to make the rule.
Okay. All right. Well, Tim, I know where to get you.
You sure? I don't know where to get me at times.
All right. I'm going to have to conclude this meeting myself. I got to go walk the dog and shovel out everything. And Sid wants to show us his Sterling engine.
It's a Sterling engine. You were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, there's one. Yeah.
Yep.
Except that runs on a higher heat source and then uses ambient air as the cold heat.
Right.
Yeah. Looks better outside. It's colder out there.
And all of this then just lights a little light on the side there.
So is it just spin by itself?
You have to start it moving initially. They give it a little shove, but once it's going, it continues to run just based on the difference of heat.
Well, you put oil in the little container there.
Well, you're heating it with a lamp, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so it takes a little heat lamp to get it going.
It has a source of heat because the higher the temperature, the more power can be derived from it. Higher temperature difference. So if you have a flame on one side and an ice cube on the other, then they can go faster. But they can be made to run with maybe a slight solar concentration, where you focus several mirrors and just mildly heat up something, and then it can make power that way too.
Sure.
But they're relatively large for the horsepower you get out of them.
I'm signing out, guys. I'll see you all later.
Take
All
care,
right.
Sam.
Great meeting.
Okay, I think we're done here. Everyone else, I'll see you guys next month.
Thank